Okay, this is where we finished off last time, and I just want to correct a couple of things I said. I called that glycolysis. This is in fact the molecule glucose. Glycolysis is an enzymatic pathway. Glucose is converted to glucose 6-phosphate in the first reaction of glycolysis, involving the concomitant hydrolysis of ATP to ADP. Okay, so once now we've cleared that up, move on to biological oxidations and reductions. They're always taken together because whenever you oxidize something, you also reduce something, and vice versa. And we summarise that with the word redox, which is short for reduction and oxidation. There's stuff obviously in the notes, and there's a couple of good references you might want to have a look at. Yeah, okay, so I've mentioned chemguide.co.uk a few times in the lectures, and this is an excellent resource. Some good stuff here on oxidation. Focused on inorganic chemistry as well as biological chemistry, so there's an inorganic example there and organic reaction there, but well worth having a read of. I'd also mentioned concepts in biochemistry from Wiley, the publisher of many fine textbooks, and again some other good resources on a range of things, including redox reactions. Okay, so if you're not sure about these, have a dig in this background reading. Right, so where were we? Okay, we are here is where we are. Oops. We're back to our example. Okay, that's just a set of resources, so move on to the next set of questions. And it's quite a tricky, detailed question. Certainly when those of you do human metabolism in the second year with me and a couple of colleagues, will be doing something called cellular respiration. Breathing is what we do when we take air in and out of our lungs. That isn't respiration per se. Respiration is a process that takes place in cellular levels, and it's quite complicated. It involves lots of reactions, but overall it does this. It takes a sugar, in this case glucose, and some oxygen, and it converts them into carbon dioxide and water. And it also, the other thing it does is produces biological energy. What it does is convert adenosine diphosphate into adenosine triphosphate. As I say, more of that later. What I'm asking for you to do here is summarise the reaction in redox terms. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is which species are being oxidised and which are being reduced. Now, in this case, I'm not really talking about molecules, I'm talking about parts of molecules. And you perhaps might want to think about what the most important element in biological chemistry is. And why do we breathe? We breathe to get, I'm giving you a bit of a clue there. So have a think about what the most important element in biology is and why we breathe. So pause the video and have a little think about that. Okay, I'm assuming you pause the video and I'll have a look at the answer. If you look at this carbon atom here in glucose, there's 6 of them, and in the molecule it's associated with 6 oxygen atoms. So each oxygen atom is associated with a single oxygen. These carbon atoms get converted to carbon dioxide. Now in this case, each carbon atom is associated with 2 oxygen atoms. So it's gone from being associated with 1 over here to being 2 over here, which is clearly an oxidation because we've added oxygen to the carbon. Conversely, if you look at this oxygen over here, which we've inhaled, it gets converted to water, so we've added hydrogen to it. So by one of our definitions of oxidation of reduction, addition of hydrogen is reduction. So there's the big old redox process there. Carbon atoms are oxidized, and it's often the process of cellular respiration is often referred to as oxidative metabolism. At the same time, oxygen is reduced to water, and the people who are going to stay with me and probably, and I will mention this a few times later this year, I will point out quite a lot that this is why we eat and this is why we breathe. We eat and we breathe to reduce carbon to CO2, oxidize oxygen to water, and in doing so regenerate rather, ATP from ADP. And again, more of that later. Okay, so here's another question. This is a complicated reaction which some of us may have come across in practical circumstances. This over here is ethanol or alcohol, and this is what happens to ethanol in your liver. A couple of stages. First off, it goes to acetaldehyde, and then to acetate, or if you will, acetic acid, mediated by a couple of enzymes. alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase. There's also something else happening here with something called a coenzyme. Now I think we've probably covered this briefly, but again, you don't need to worry too much about this molecule. It's quite a big molecule. It's a molecule called NAD. That should actually be NAD+. But it's a bit, for some reason I didn't put in the pluses, which gets converted to a molecule called NADH, meaning we've added a hydrogen to it. And similarly over here as well. So have a think about what's been oxidized and what's been reduced and justify your answer. So again, pause the video and then come back when you've had a think about it. Okay, again, I'm assuming you're being honest and pausing the video, and I have no reason to doubt that you would do so. The carbon atoms in the ethanol are oxidized first to form acetaldehyde and then acetic acid or acetate. So have a look at the carbon atoms and notice the number of different oxygens and hydrogens attached to them and figure out yourself that it is an oxidation. And I also say concomitantly, a good scientific word, meaning at the same time, NAD, which should actually be NAD+, is reduced to NADH. So two molecules of that are reduced from NAD+ to NADH simply by adding a hydrogen. So that's a reduction. Addition of hydrogen is a reduction. Should have drawn a diagram of that really. Apologies for that. Okay, there's a section here on free radicals which I'm not going to cover in this video because it's a bit early in the course. I'll probably come back to this later on. So for now I'm going to wrap up this video. As ever, thanks for listening.